Today we are going to be ranking every game that they've made available in 2024 from January 1st up to the most recent November 1st, 2 Quest games each month that you've been able to play on the MetaQuest Plus. This is going to be very exciting and we have got a lot to get through, so if you want to see more like this, let me know by hitting that like button, go subscribe to the channel, and make sure to go and get yourself a free MetaQuest Plus subscription. If you haven't already been subscribed, you can go and play for free, choosing any games that you want from the Quest catalog with the Quests 3S. Everything that you'll need is in the link in my bio. In January 1st, here's the first games they released. Richie's Plank Experience, where you go through 3 different simulations which you can play with friends and family, at which you simply walk the plank. With this, you enter out of an elevator and simply gotta walk and see how far that you can go. If you played Quest or meta games for a while, this will be a game that may not be as immersive for you. But if you are a first-time Quest user, this will be something that you want to get into, as it will be very, very trippy and probably an enjoyable experience for you. The next game is Nox Evolve. This is a arrow-based shooting football game. Think of it more like a virtual reality version of Rocket League, where you get to play different mini-games with multiplayer online, and it's essentially sport in different fashions. Now, out of both of these games, Nox and Richie's Plank Experience, this is a pretty solid VR release, as Nox was first released brand new in January and it was made free to play for the month. So I'm going to have to give both of these, Richie's Experience and Nox, a 6 out of 10. For February's 2 game releases, we got I Expect You to Die. Available on MetaQuest 2 and MetaQuest 3, is a James Bond spy-like adventure where you've got to go through different challenges and quests and try and not to die. The game will try and kill you at every turn and corner that it makes, and it is your job to try and survive the best that you can. With spy and espionage-like puzzles you will go through to complete, and with knowledge to gain of different mission reports.
You'll surely be faced with increasingly deadly situations. But with your superior wits and your love for danger, I'm sure you'll be our top agent in no time. But to be perfectly honest, and with all due condolences, I expect you to die.
In Psychodia Chronos Alternative, this anime adventure gives you a persona of a detective. This detective finds a mysterious murder, and you've got to find out who has done it and why they did it. Through the city and through your detective friends and adventures, the city is under destruction, and if you don't find out how this mystery died, then you will be bound. It's definitely got a really nice art style. I personally have not played this game, so I can't give you my full opinions of it. But if you're looking for something different with a different animation and anime style, this may be something for you. Now, with the I Expect You to Die and Disconia, this right here is going to have to be a 4 out of 10 for me. In March of 2024, we got Contractors as one of the games that was released for the month to play. With Contractors now, it has grown ever more big than I could possibly have imagined, with really famous mods such as the Lego and Star Wars mods that are available to play for free on this game. It is a great first-person Call of Duty-like shooter with great gun mechanics and multiplayer game modes that is still popular to now. 5 years later, this game is one of the most incredible shooters that I have always come back to and still not gotten bored of just yet. Up next is a game which is the second choice of March 2024, called Shadowpoint. This will be one of those games you either enjoy or you don't enjoy. It's a little bit more slow paced, it's got a lot more of a story mode like to it, there's not really much action or adventure, and it's one of those walking simulator type games where you do walk around a lot of the locations and you go and try and solve a puzzle mystery of a missing girl that is gone.
I never told them what I found.
Personally for me, I couldn't really get into this game, but to make up for the fact that they added Contractors to this list, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit more scary, maybe something to keep you on edge, Drop Dead Duel in the next month's releases of April 2024 was released. This is a version of the zombie apocalypse where you go and play as the main character in your story. There is creatures around and you have got a lot of companions at your side. It's up to you how you face the apocalypse, and there is a lot to do.
Team up with an ex-CIA agent, hungry for zombie blood. And his kick-ass daughter to cut through the zombie menace.
We'll stop you Monday, or die trying.
Give them hell with extreme dual-wielding action. Hack, slash, shove, smash, and shoot with both hands for maximum undead destruction. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. What the dip, duck, dodge, and...
Now, a classic on the Quest title sub is Puzzle, or more well known as Floor Plan 2, where you play with puppet-like creatures, and it is each an escape simulation typed room, where you go to different locations and different levels, where you have got to try and make it through each level in floor plan, meeting different characters to help you on your journey, and with some really funny interactions if played right. It is really unique what these titles bring, so personally for me, I'm gonna have to give it a 7 out of 10. In the month of May, we have got Stones of Harleth. This is a pixelated adventure, so if you are a old school gamer, it is one of those types of pixelated platformers converted into virtual reality. A complete new and unique titles such as these that bring you 2D enemies and characters, just like the good old days. If you're a fan of Pokemon and those styles of games, this is what it is like, except you wield magic. You have swords and you have goodness like that. And with following from this, we have got Vacation Simulator, an all-time classic which has been well known to the MetaQuest marketplace for quite some time. With these two titles, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10, because personally, if you've got a vacation simulator, to me, I don't really see any point in that when you could just go on holiday. And Stones of Harleth, for me, it's not my sort of title, but if you enjoyed it, you may give it a different rating.
The Bureau of Simulations requires metric. I figured out a way to measure vacation. There's no time for being lackadaisical. The simulation requires efficient, measurable fun.
I don't think we're we're seeing screen to screen on this one. Relax. That's what vacations are all about.
Human, let's optimize our vacation to maximum.
Up next in the month of June, we got 2 solid releases. The first one is Stride, a parkour adventure with 3 different game modes. Multiplayer is now available and has been for quite some time, but if you do not fancy that, you play in a city skyline adventure, parkouring off different buildings and different props where you gotta go and see how quick you can survive the trail. You've got endless mode to see how far you can travel. You've got competitive mode which you can go against different and hard AIs, and last but not least you have multiplayer which you can go into endless mode with each person and see how long you can travel until the void takes you. Now, before I even continue with this one, Warhammer is such an untouched VR game that Battle Sisters did it perfect. In the distant dark future, you play as 2 sisters that fight for humanity against the beasts and creatures at bay. It is your task to get into the immersion of the Warhammer universe and fight them off as hard as you can. With devastating weapons, these 2 titles, it's definitely going to have to be an 8 out of 10 for me on this. In July, the first game we got is The Last Clockwinder. This is a story adventure where you are in a plant workshop and you have got to rebuild what has been lost. With your companions alike, it is your job to go and collect the resources at your peril and work your very own workshop.
The tree and all the precious plants it protects will die.
That's the last recording I have of Adia. Nearly 10 years old now.
How does it feel to be home?
From out here, you wouldn't know it was sinking. I just hope we're not too late. I found her gloves, and they still work. Thank goodness. This would be impossible without the gardeners.
Oh, those things. Yeah, they're pretty neat.
When I first arrived here, I used to imagine the gardeners were alive. I loved the thought of the clock tower teeming with people, all helping look after the plants.
The clock tower uses fruit for energy. With the gardeners, this will finally automate the drainage pump, just like that.
Things were looking a little bad on the lower levels.
I'm going to fix this place, Levi. I'm going to fix it.
Something's wrong! What's happening? The pump's offline.
That place was my home. And the plants there, they're irreplaceable.
The tree is always running out of time.
How did Adia handle this place?
Reckon you can fix it?
But I'm not letting the clock tower go without a fight. Not this time.
The clock tower needs its clockwinder. But the clockwinder is only a person. And people make mistakes. So I've made a decision. I will be the last clockwinder. You don't know half of what this place can do.
And the second game that we got right here is Creed Rise to Glory Championship Edition, only available for the MetaQuest 2 and MetaQuest 3, where you play as Creed himself and you fight in the ring to train like a champion. As far as boxing games go in virtual reality, this is probably one of the most known titles that you'll want to go for, and it links quite well to the movie. If you've also watched that, this might be the game for you. With this title and The Last Clockwinder, I'm going to have to give this a 7 out of 10. In the month of August, our first game that we received was Myst. If you've ever played the board game, you will have a feeling of what to expect with this. You arrive on an island, and on this island, there are mysterious forces at work. I won't reveal too much about this game, but if you haven't played this yet, this is one of those little gem surprises that you will want to pry your eyes on.
The thought of the splendid, vibrant, unforeseen worlds that would lie along this new path brought life to my very core. That remarkable book of new beginnings. And yet, even as I cherished it, I had to let it fall from my grasp. But I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse.
Which follows on to the second game, which is a favourite of mine, Ragnarok, a Viking-based game where you row ships and you are the ship's commander. Cross-platform is available and multiplayer is too. If you like Beat Saber, this is a mix of that, but it is multiplayer. And it is a Viking-themed rock game where you can play to compete to see how well you do on each song and rank up onto the leaderboards with over epic 40 songs from famous artists you may or may not know. This is gonna have to be an 8 out of 10 for me. Now, in September, I didn't really expect to get this. Zero Caliber became available with the modding update in September, where mods became available, and just like Contractors VR, this turned out to be an amazing first-person shooter with mods. And with that, we also got We Are One, a multiplayer, single-player action game where you get to play in a forest and you can rewind time to go and duplicate yourself. So, the more times you die, the more clones you can team up with yourself. There's a mixed reality game mode available for Quest 3 players and Quest 3S alike. In time-bending puzzle shooters, this is honestly a revolutionary turn for me, as I feel like this was a really solid month for MetaQuest Plus games. This is going to have to be a 9 out of 10 for me. Now in October, we got two very unique titles. We got Zombieland Headshot Fever, based off the movie. It's an arcade-style game where you play as the main characters of the movie themselves. Choosing obviously who you want to be can be customizable, and you play out of the famous locations in the movie, shooting as many zombies as you can. There is a mixed reality mode also with this game right here, and with this sort of like Call of Duty, the more points you get, the more you can upgrade with different perks and different combos combined. And if you have possibly been living under a rock, Down the Rabbit Hole was the second game of October, a third-person adventure where you go through the perspectives of Alice through Wonderland. This is a different take on the story, with a storyboard elements to this, and a exploring adventure of Wonderland itself. This is very interesting and a really unique take on the story. If you haven't read upon it much, this might be a game that you want to get into and invest some time. It's a nice story adventure which you can move around and look at through different angles. Through these two choices right here, not much of a solid month, but Down the Rabbit Hole does make it up for me. So for this, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. And last but not least, for the most recent update on MetaQuest, the two games for this month, Space Folk City, and Warplanes World War I Fighters. If you want to go and see the coverage I did on these both games, go and check out the video on my channel. And there we have it, folks. Whew, that was a lot to get through. But we have still got one more month left. Until then, I will see you in the next month when we reveal what the new Quests titles are for December 2024 and to see if they release any more new games to the catalogue in MetaQuest Plus. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Do you agree with the rankings and ratings I gave these? If not, let me know down below. But as always, my name's HN. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye now.